Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
What's up, nerds? Welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Report. We are recapping the last two episodes of Ms. Marvel, from the Circle Q to the Red Dagger's Kitchen and everywhere in between. That's right. This is our last, for now, episode of Is Ms. Marvel Marvelous? And my name is Mike Gibson. With me as always, Steve Howler. What's up, Steve?
Well, I'm just going to answer your question, Mike. Yes.
Do it.
Yes, it was.
Yes. I agree that it was.
Was it the best piece of Marvel content ever put out? No. Was it on the top half? Definitely yes. Was it really fun? Yeah, it was great.
Especially, I think if you're just talking shows.
Yeah.
I liked this better than a lot of them, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I think I liked it better than Moon Knight.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put that on anybody else.
No,
I like this better than Moon Knight.
In the comics, I've always been a Moon Knight fan. I enjoyed that stuff. What they did with this and the amount of fun they had, especially in Iman Vellani, let's just put something out for Iman Vellani, a first-time actor, just absolutely nailing this. But
and huge comic book fan. Also, Iman Vellani is.
Yeah, she actually, I think I don't know if I sent it to you. She did a Reddit AMA the other day, where
really?
she was.
No, you sent it to me, but I didn't want to watch it because you said
there
were spoilers.
And you hadn't watched it at the time. Yeah. She did a full-blown Reddit AMA, like talking about how what she was doing in the show referenced back to the comics and that. Amazing. And had like deep cuts about like Infinity Gauntlet stuff that were like some Infinity Gauntlet pieces were her favorite run, or like she mentioned some Norrin Red stuff, like so old school Silver Surfer things, and I'm like,
wow.
All right, this is you're deep in it.
She also, I saw an interview with her where she said if she was ever in another comic book property, she'd want to be in an adaptation of Bitch Planet, which is like this like super feminist woman's prison on a planet thing. Mm-hmm. I was like, that's like a deep cut. Like, if she's
absolutely.
Bitch Planet, then she is deep into comics, and I love this person.
Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah, she killed it.
I agree. I thought she was great. I've mentioned before how I think her mother is a tremendous actress. She's like, I don't know the woman's name, but very good at acting like an actual mother and being like nervous and protective of the child, but also encouraging when she needs to be. I don't know. I thought she was incredible. So what happens in episode 5? I watched both these back to back, 5 and 6. So they kind of just seemed like one big episode to me.
I did as well.
Okay.
So we're in the same boat here.
So in 5, I was for a while. It had been a while between me watching episode 4 and me watching episode 5 and 6.
Same.
So there was some stuff I didn't remember from the series, and so when in episode 5 when they're like closing the portal and she's defeating the clandestine tribe,
so
I was like, what's going to happen in episode 6? I think
right.
These the bad guys. Like, what's going to happen? And I was like, oh, okay. Then at the end, when she like transfers the power to the sun, like, oh, okay, and that's going to be a problem. And she's gonna have to
forgot about the Back in America stuff, and
I forgot about the whole damage control thing like that. I was completely forgot about that. Well, episode 5 started. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was actually just going to segue into exactly what you're talking about with episode 5 starting with Aisha. And that whole, like, the flashback, not flashback train thing where she was there but wasn't, like, and is living in a flashback, meets her great-grandmother.
As an infant, and saves her life,
Right.
And I as soon as and at the end of episode 4, when she wakes up, she gets transported back in time to that place. My wife, who loved this show, by the way.
Same here.
Top to bottom, loved it. She was like, what is going on? And I go, oh, she's going to be the trail of stars that leads her grandmother to her father. Like, that's the story they've told. Like, it's going to turn out that it was her the whole time. And that's exactly what happened. She said something like, I can't do circles, but I can do I can't do stars, but I can do circles. But then one of the circles breaks up into the
Yep.
stars. Then the kid files it back to the dad. I thought that was great. What was the great grandmother's name? Aisha.
Aisha was the great grandmother. Yeah.
Aisha. I thought her story was very interesting. Running away, just falling in love with the guy on the farm and starting a life there. For what it's worth, not trying to be creep, I thought that actress was beautiful. I thought she was incredibly attractive.
I had a
Aisha.
I had a point. I had a point when we were
dazzling.
watching it, and it was going through some stereotypical trope, and I looked at my wife and I'm like, oh look, here's this trope with the stunningly beautiful actress we don't know doing this, this, and this, and she's magically gonna fall in love with this guy, and I'm like, oh wait, it actually is happening, and yeah, same reaction.
Yeah. Honestly, oh, whoops. My ring light just went weird. Yeah, I just set out, like, my wife and I just couldn't stop talking about how gorgeous she was. Anyway, that aside, very interesting story. Kind of bummed that she died, though. Like, I guess she had to die. And,
Right.
But I guess I thought her character was, like, interesting enough that I would have liked to see her somehow continue, maybe, like, cosmically be some, like,
Right, transfer somewhere else or something.
guide or something
Right.
for Kamala moving forward, but whatever.
But she
I
had to
guess
die,
that's still
so
possible. But she had to die. Yeah. So
right, she had to die so that Sana could live, and that the whole
Yes.
yep.
Exactly. Yeah. And it was pretty like intense too. Like, I feel like a lot of this show focused a lot on like Muslim culture and history of Muslims, being run out of Pakistan, as we saw in
Run out of India. Yep.
Run out of
Into
India.
Pakistan.
Sorry, into Pakistan. Yeah, correct. Sorry, thank you for correcting me. And they certainly didn't shy away from showing that at all. I thought was great. And this was a show that didn't seem like it was like, hey, white people, we're going to teach you about this other culture by watching this show. But it kind of did in a way where I think I said this before in a previous episode of Is Ms. Marvel Marvelous? It's just kind of, because it's talking about the culture like it's normal, because it is normal to these people that experience this culture. Like, just because I'm like a white dude who's never seen this before, it seems foreign to me.
Oh yeah.
But I really appreciated that it wasn't presented to me in a way that was like over explaining everything that they're talking about. They're just like mentioning stuff that's like, an everyday thing in their culture. To me, I don't necessarily know what it is, but it's like, oh, it doesn't matter. Or, I mean, it matters to them, but like, it's okay that I don't necessarily know what it is.
Right, that it doesn't fill in all the gaps.
Yeah, but they weren't like overly explaining it for like the uneducated, white Christian person watching the show or whatever. They're like, we're just going to treat it like it's normal because it is normal for, Muslim
for a
people.
quarter of the billion, or the quarter of the world's population.
Exactly. Yeah. And I really appreciate it. I really like seeing all that stuff portrayed that way and not being portrayed as like on a very special episode of Ms. Marvel, we teach you about the Muslim culture, like that kind of thing. That
Right.
Kind of,
well, and that's the thing. Yeah. Even the partition, like, I knew it existed. I did not know the details to which we learned. And it was like, okay, this is, like you said, explaining without over-explaining or, like, pandering. And I don't know. That might just be what we took from it. But, like, I learned a hell of a lot from this show.
Exactly. And I know, but, like, even...
It sent me down rabbit holes, too, of learning, like, finding out more. It's like, oh, I need to know more about that.
Yeah, and like the partition thing, I like vaguely remembered that. I didn't remember much of it at all. I vaguely did, but I know there's people out there that didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And this is like, the biggest, like, Marvel is like the biggest IP in the world right now and has been for the last 10 years. Like, this is the biggest IP in the world showing this on a show on their big streaming service. Like, they're not shying away from this. They're not like casually. It was the same thing, kind of like when they did. I was surprised at the depth at which Falcon and the Winter Soldier addressed racism directly.
Or
because, like when it's a big Disney corporate thing, you think they're gonna just like create with kid gloves or like shy away from it. They're like, no, this was horrible. Yeah. And we're showing you this partitions. Like, these people are begging to get on these trains. They're clinging to the sides and climbing to the top because it's their only way to survive. And if they don't get out on these trains, they're going to be killed.
Yeah, or like Watchmen leaning into Tulsa.
Black Wall
Yep.
Street. Yeah, exactly. I was just about to make that exact same comparison.
Yep.
Yeah, it reminded me of the opening episode of Watchmen that
Right.
taught so many white nerds about Black Wall Street
Yep.
for the first time ever.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, I really love the show for that in general. And then so she defeats the clandestines, but not before the leader of the clandestines transfers. It's not her power. It's like the part was kind of vague for me. Like, did she transfer just power from the rift,
like from the Nerd dimension? I don't know.
Into her son, or like where did that come from? And did she have that ability? Like, where did she get that ability from? It was kind of murky, like how this was possible. Maybe it's not possible, and we're not supposed to care about it, which is fine.
Right.
But
yeah, I mean, it might have just been some hand wavy something, but somehow her power ended up with Kamran. So, I mean, flash forward to New York or New Jersey. Keep wanting to call it New York because it's
But we also get the mom and the grandmother seeing her use her powers and realizing that she is the girl, which is an important thing. And there was again talking about how great an actress the mother is. They do the thing, and it's like a cheap way to not to spend more money on special effects, where you don't see the thing happening, you just see the people reacting to the thing happening, which sometimes can be can work very well.
I mean, as a Jaws fan, you are well versed in that.
Exactly, yeah, for sure. But I literally was thinking about Jaws when I just described it. Just it's amazing that you picked up on that. It's great.
So it's almost like we've been doing this for way too long.
For way too long. So like, there's a scene where she has to go talk to Red Dagger.
Yep.
And so she's like, "There's one more thing I have to do," and says goodbye to her mom for a second. And you hear the sound of her creating those things, but it just shows the mom's face reacting to it, and like her reaction was like just so genuine and honest, like shock, but also pride at the same time that it's my daughter, but like I can't believe that she's doing this, and like wonder and amazement and like a little fear, like it's all in her face, and it's just like that's amazing. That reaction shot is incredible. Like, it works because she's such a good actor. Like, in a lesser actor would have just been like or something like over the top, and it just wouldn't have worked. But like, her reaction was so natural, it was great.
So she was actually Zenobia Shroff. She was actually in The Big Sick, which was
Kumail
Nanjiani. Yep.
Yeah.
So she played something or other in there. It says that was her breakthrough role. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, good for her. Welcome to Marvel. Welcome to fame. Yeah.
Oh, she was in Soul too.
The Pixar movie?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Sweet. I haven't actually seen that movie. I've heard it's great.
It was actually a really good movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you say actually, like most Pixar movies aren't.
Right. Yeah. Like, it's a surprise
amazing.
that it's.
Yeah.
Like, how did they do that? They've never done that before.
If a Pixar movie doesn't make me cry, then it's like, meh, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, this one will hit you. It'll hit you.
Yeah, I bet it will. I bet so. Anyway, so yeah, she says goodbye to Red Dagger, goes back to New York City, and then we're into the final episode where she's basically is trying to protect Cameron and get him out of the country so damage control cannot take him, experiment on him, capture him, whatever they're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
This was a very fun episode. Them like booby trapping and making a plan in the school. So this is this is a thing where her entire family and everyone in her life knows that she's Ms. Marvel. There's no secret identity here,
right?
At least from people that she's close to in her life, which I thought was interesting. I didn't necessarily know that was going to happen, and I don't know if that's the way that is in the
and
books
that
either.
the way they sold that was so perfect. Like, with her mom knowing, and then her going to make this huge announcement.
Yeah,
and then her dad's like, everybody. "Well, mom already told me." And her brother's like, "Well, no, the part that got me was that her dad had their mom on speakerphone, so they overheard the conversation." I was like, "I totally get that."
Yeah, and he was like, "Speakerphone is just so much more convenient." Like,
I could totally picture my father saying exactly that, because all he does is sit on speakerphone the whole time.
Yeah.
And now I'm finding myself doing that, which is even worse.
Oh, there you go. Taking a step in that direction.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that. I love the like pretending to react. Oh no, like pretending to be shocked by it because they already know. That was great. We get the whole high school thing is cool. And you and I talked earlier about I said it to my wife. That's not how fire extinguishers work. Like, they're
Right.
using them to like lay a cover of smoke in the in the high school to escape. So yeah, that would just spray foam everywhere. It wouldn't necessarily make a cloud of
Yeah,
smoke.
it's
But yeah, sure, I get it. It's a movie. It's a show.
right.
They do that all the time in movies. Whatever, fine. Um. So yeah, a lot of cool action, escaping, making plans. Oh, the Zoe character was just
Right.
randomly at the high school. That was a little forced.
Little
I felt like.
Deus Ex Machina right there.
Yeah. Oh, I just happened to be here because I like filming TikTok videos in the auditorium.
It's better
But
lighting.
yeah, that was like really kind of ham-fisted. Also, I didn't think that they ever made it clear that she knew that it was Kamala that saved her life because she was wearing that mask at Avengers Con. Like, I thought it was like, I don't
Yeah.
know. I also don't know who this person is. But then she just ran up. She was like, yeah, I always knew it was you. Thanks for saving my life. Like, oh, what? That was kind of weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever. That again.
Whatever.
Well, that was the other thing too. Is when I was watching it, it didn't even dawn on me because they punched it in there almost so awkwardly that it was like supposed to be intentionally awkward.
Yeah.
So it didn't quite phase me. I was just like, okay, they just threw that one in there for the hell of it.
And they did it in a way where like she explained why she was there so quickly,
Yep.
and everyone was just on board.
Okay.
It was like them all being like, well, okay. It was just kind of like we're supposed to be like that too. Like, okay,
Right.
It doesn't matter why she's here. She's just here, but they need her to be here. And they did need her to be here because they needed a crowd outside of the school,
Mm-hmm.
and she called them to come, hey, all my TikTok followers, why don't you come down to the school right now? So that worked.
So TikTok exists in the MCU.
Yeah, I guess so. And then I don't know beat by beat what happened, but we end up getting to this cool fight outside.
Yeah, they Home Alone some shit in there. I'm sure longtime listener of the pod, Matt Beseda, will be happy that there was Home Aloning occurring in the MCU.
Yeah. Plenty of booby traps, homemade booby trap set. And then we get to this big cool fight outside in which Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel, does the thing that we wanted her to be doing from episode 1, but I mean, without any explanation whatsoever. She says the word "embiggen," which
Right.
is what she calls her growth powers in the comic.
Mm-hmm.
Again, just to remind you, in the comic book, she doesn't have these weird cosmic force field powers. She can stretch and grow her body and her limbs in different ways. Similar to Mr. Fantastic, but not like quite the same. I don't know. It's like she calls it embiggening. So when she like held the ground and said "embiggen," I was like, "Oh yeah!" Like I got excited. And then immediately I was like, "How does she know to do that? Like, does she know that she can do that instinct? Like, no one's told her that that's a possibility, and she decides to do it.
She had done that with her fist earlier, like randomly.
She had, but the way she said "embiggen" was This is something that I know that I can do. And it's like, how do you know you can do that?
Right. That was 100% like fan service to throw the word in there.
Yes, exactly.
Without any explanation.
It's fine.
Oh, yeah.
And I even though there's no explanation, I liked it, and I'm glad that they did it. And then creates this cool force field around Cameron and helps him escape.
Mm-hmm.
Gets back to her life. I really liked the ending when she's sitting on the roof with her dad, and her dad talks about why they named her Kamala, because it means, what's it mean, perfect or something? It means
in I can't remember whether it was Hindi or Urdu or whatever. One of the languages it was like perfect, and then the other language it translated to like marvelous
or something wonderful.
Wondrous
and marvel, and you're my little Miss Marvel. And I was like, oh, that's great. That's
well, and then
way to get your
the
name.
best part of that, like, it was that hit the feels, and then she's like, wait, my name's the same as Carol freaking Danvers, and then her dad's response of, who's that? was just like perfect dad maneuver of like the thing your child is completely obsessed with. You're like, what?
You have no idea who she is. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's really funny.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it like that.
Yep.
All right, so let's get down to the last two big things here.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of this episode, they're saying goodbye to Bruno, who's going away to college, and Bruno says, "Oh, I found something else in your DNA, something that makes you different than other members of your family. Why the bangle works for you and not for other members of your family?
Right.
I found something in your genes. It's a mutation."
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
So yeah, I mean, we're meant to. They're saying this.
Oh
is a
yeah.
mutant. Okay.
And
So-
yeah. And the
and
fact
that's
that it wouldn't have been something like they've said mutation in the MCU before in reference to powers,
Have they?
but I believe so. I thought
not-
there was something, but
They may
nothing.
have casually mentioned it in
Right.
a way, but
But
not like this was
nothing
like
with
a-
literally the X-Men theme behind it.
Oh, did that really happen?
Yeah, did
I
you
thought
miss
you were
that?
joking. No,
Oh,
I
no.
missed it. Did that really happen?
In the like in real time, because I sat there
Really?
and I was freaking out because I heard it and I was like, holy shit, holy shit, it
I did
happened.
not notice that. I did
Oh
not
yeah,
notice that.
yeah. When
Oh, I'm
he
going
said
back to watch
mutation,
it.
it was literally da-na-na-na-na-na in the background.
Which is perfect because they just did an orchestral version of that for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Yep.
When Professor Xavier showed up.
Yeah.
It was like a score version of da-da-da-da-da.
And this was more like a chiptune-y, 8-bitty thing of it, and it was
Really? Oh,
it
God.
fit
I gotta go
perfectly,
listen
and
to
I
that.
was just like, huh. Oh, because at first I was like, oh, mutation.
Yeah.
with the song. The song means it's real.
Shit. I wish I had
Oh yeah.
noticed that. I gotta
Yep.
go back and watch that moment now. Okay, I'm gonna.
Yeah, so it was one of those where it was like, okay, they said it, and it could be a red herring, but they played the
Yeah.
song, and when they play the song, that
Yeah.
means it's real. Especially with X-Men
Yeah.
'97 dropping soon ish.
Yeah.
We'll find out next week. More to come on that in our real episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's the
Yeah.
first official mutant in the MCU.
Yeah, and I feel like, see, the music makes it a little more certain. But when I first noticed that,
Yep.
and yes, I'm sure we've heard the word mutation or mutant mentioned
Yeah.
in the MCU, possibly, but not with a swelling close up of the person's face. It's like, there's something in your genes. Close up into his face. There's a mutation. Like it was
Yep.
like clearly like dramatically set
Yeah.
up for him to deliver this line, and clearly we're supposed to. Plus now with the song, we're clearly supposed to believe that she's a mutant. But I feel like also this is Marvel, like half-assing, committing to this in case they change their minds later. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, no, there's a mutation in everyone that
Right.
has powers, genes. Yeah, no, you're not a mutant. You weren't born this way. You know, they could retcon that later if
Yep.
they wanted to. It's one of those things where like, okay, let's say it, but give ourselves enough room to wiggle out of it later if we
Mhm.
don't want to make her mutant.
Always.
But I
But
think
well,
because
that was.
they're not
Oh,
because
go for
she's an Inhuman in the comics and they're not doing Inhumans, I feel like this is a way to like make her born differently in a way, but not have her be an Inhuman. It's a way to kind of like bring that in.
So the one thing that ties that all together is, I believe it's, who the hell was it? It was G. Will Wilson and Sana Amanat, the two that created her.
Yeah.
So Sana Amanat's an executive at Marvel, Pakistani Muslim, and G. Will Wilson, the creator, wrote the first book. The two of them kind of created the character. They originally pitched her as a mutant. She was supposed to
really?
be a
Okay.
mutant in the comics. And there's interviews with both of them saying she was going to be a mutant, but they pushed back on that. This was in the Ike Perimeter days for all of the mess and horribleness of him. But the pre-Feige winning the war, that they went away from it and went in Humans because they were trying to pitch that because they didn't have the rights to them at the time. But originally
Yeah,
she
they
was
didn't- yeah.
supposed to be and wanted to, like, they wanted to write her as a mutant. So this was in the area where
there was-
X-Men, there were no new mutants anywhere.
Right. There was a moratorium on writers being able to create new X-Men characters because any new X-Men character created would immediately go to Fox.
Yep.
Fox would immediately have the rights to them, and they were starting to trying to strangle Fox's hold on the X-Men as much as they possibly could, which they did
Right.
a very good job of, and now it's back to Disney.
Right. Why didn't they just buy him back then?
I don't don't know.
But yeah,
Didn't have that.
so she was originally supposed to be a mutant, and then ended up going the Inhuman route. I guess the other thing I could foresee in the MCU, we've seen Black Bolt. Blackagar Boltagon exists in a universe.
One version of him, yeah.
But what wouldn't surprise me is if we ultimately somewhere down the line do get the Inhumans, but it's mostly like the Inhuman royal family and the non-earthly Inhumans.
Yeah, like a
no
smaller
Terrigenesis
group of
or
them.
anything.
Yeah.
Just the people from the moon. So
Yeah. I agree with that. Speaking of Terrigenesis, I felt the way that the clandestines died when they tried to go through the portal reminded me a lot of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yep.
When the Terrigen mist spread, they got like covered in like a coal kind of dark rock. And then if they lived, they broke out of it. If they died, it just crumbled. And that that's exactly what happened. They got covered in this like rock, and then they fell away. You saw a skeleton, and the skeleton fell away, which I thought was cool. But I was like, is that an Inhumans reference? Kind of like a way to reference it.
Yeah, I was wondering about
referencing
that.
it. Yeah, it was interesting. But anyway, yeah, okay. So she's a mutant. I don't know that she'll show up in X-Men. I mean, she'll maybe have some kind of passing relationship with the X-Men however we get them.
Right.
I don't know. It would be cool and strange
Probably-
to have her be on the X-Men team, but
Probably as much as in the comics, where it's just passing whenever interactions occur, they occur and whatever. If Cyclops is hanging out in Jersey City, then sure, why not? But
she is a teenager, though. She's gonna have to go to school somewhere.
it's true. I've heard there's
Maybe,
a school for gifted
take a
youngsters
trip.
just
Yeah,
upstate.
Quote unquote upstate.
Yeah.
Westchester. Okay, it's not really upstate. Anyway, and then okay, so post credit scene. Are we good to move on to the post credit scene of this movie?
The only other thing I want to
television show.
mention is Alyssa Rainer, the woman who played the damage control lead field agent there.
Yes.
She is just destined to play horrible human beings
Okay,
in all of her
tell me
shows
what-
and nails it.
Tell me what else she's in, because I know I saw her in something else. And
She
I
was-
could not place it the entire time I was watching.
She was
the show.
Fig in Orange is the New Black.
Orange is the New Black.
She was
yes.
Figueroa
Okay.
in Orange is the New Black. Yep.
Thank you. Thank
Yep.
you. That's exactly where I know her from. I could not place her, and I kept forgetting to look it up.
And it was kind of the same, like almost the same-ish attitude to the character, and I was like,
Yeah.
she's playing the same thing, but holy shit, is it working again? Like
Yeah,
she killed it.
Great
So,
at it. Yeah,
Yep.
she killed it.
All
right,
Yes,
so,
you can go to the final.
Post-credit scene in this show, Kamala Khan's coming home from an afternoon of superheroing, I guess. I don't know. Laying down in her bed. Bangle starts flipping out. She touches it. She disappears into a whirligig into her closet. And who shows up? Brie Larson as Captain Marvel. Something that I was positive was going to happen in this show. That we're going to get a cameo from Brie Larson in some way. We did at the very end. We have to assume this is somehow setting up The Marvels, the movie that is going to feature both of them and Monica Rambeau, coming out next year. I don't know in what way it's possibly going to tie into that. Do you have any indication as to where Kamala Khan was zapped to, or did they switch places? Did they just both go somewhere? Seems like they switched places.
Yeah, the theories I've seen are that the bangles, are the nega bands, which were a Kree artifact that allowed Marvel, the precursor to Captain Marvel.
Jude Law.
Yep, Jude Law's character, but in the comics, which was not, long story.
Right.
We'll get into that some other year. But they had this swapping power between them. So there's like ties and thoughts that it might be something to do with that, or some sort of Kree relic, which would fit with Carol. I mean, there's plenty of Kree history there. How Danvers ties into Rambeau, ties into Khan will be interesting. Like where this ultimately goes, I'm curious.
Yeah,
And-
we'll find out. We don't know anything else about that movie besides the three of them are going to be in it. I don't think that we don't know anything about a villain or a plot or anything. So
No,
I'm sure they're already filming it. But
I would assume so.
way Marvel works. I feel like, we talked last week about visual effects. They want to be able to make decisions and change their minds right up to the last minute. So maybe they don't know what it's about yet. They're still figuring it out enough to they haven't released any kind of synopsis or anything yet. So, but we shall find out hopefully soon. So this is our last episode until, I don't know if we're gonna get a season 2. I guess it depends on what happens in the movie. If we get a season 2 of Ms. Marvel, I feel like it's possible, considering that Iman Vellani is not a movie star yet. She may come back to a TV show. She may have already signed on for season 2. I feel like it's a good possibility. So I would love a season 2 of Ms. Marvel, regardless of what happens in the film. Hopefully we get one. And if we do, we'll start doing more episodes of Is Ms. Marvel Marvelous? And the answer hopefully will still be yes. Yes, she
Absolutely.
is. So if you are watching us on Twitch, if you're watching us live on Twitch, stick around. We're going to take a quick break. We're recording 2 more episodes this evening. We're recording a short review of Thor Love and Thunder, and we're recording our normal weekly nerd recap podcast. I don't know if anyone's watching us on Twitch, but in case you are, just stick around. And if you're listening, then you can just do whatever you want, and you can stop listening to this and not listen to the other ones, or you can just jump right to the other ones. Maybe you already listened to the other ones. I don't know. I don't know what you do. But, Steve, you want to tell them to, follow us and stuff?
Yeah, I'd say you should probably follow us on Twitch, on YouTube, on whatever your podcatcher of choice is. Review, subscribe. If you are listening in a mode that allows you notifications to let us know or let you know when we're going live. I mean, let us know when you're going live too. We don't care. We'll check you out maybe. But I'd say do all those things. If you want to get hold of us, the Multiverse Report at gmail.com, themultiverseport.com, the Multiverse Report on all your socials, Multiverse RPT on Twitter. Wow, that was a mouthful.
Wow.
But yeah, beyond that, I think we're ready to good to go.
All right, cool. Well, until next time, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the multiverse.